Hey guys, it's me and I'm going to be doing my bookshelf tour today. So I'm just holding my camera on its stand right now because we ain't fancy when it comes to this. Oh god, okay, I really need to hold it with two hands. So today I'm going to be doing my bookshelf tour. Finally, I did a bit of a reorganization, so you get to see that as well as all my books. So I'm really excited to be doing this and I hope you like all the books I have. So let's get to it. So starting on the top shelf, this is my dystopian shelf and my fairy tale retelling sort of shelf, and then at the end there's just some extra books. But this is generally, yeah, sort of my dystopian, sort of post-apocalyptic, living in a different sort of society area. So let's go through that one. The first book I have on this shelf is The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. Next is my Legend Trilogy box set by Marie Lu. The Walled City by Ryan Gordon. The first two books in the Fifth Wave trilogy by Rick Yancey. Rebel and Reboot, the duology by Amy Tintera. Next is Endgame, The Calling by James Frey and Niles Johnson Shelton. All These Things I've Done by Gabrielle Zevin. Hey, onto some books that I've actually read. This is the Divergent series by Veronica Roth. Throwback to 2011 when I studied the Hunger Games for school. This is the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. This is the Maze Runner trilogy by James Dashner, a series that I will not be reading, but I have it on my shelf because my mum bought it for me. Classic mum. The next book I have is the first book in the Chaos Walking trilogy, The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. Next I have the first two books in the Lunar Chronicles series by Marissa Meyer, Cinder and Scarlet. Next is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. Next is one of my favourites for this year, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And lastly on my top shelf is the Anna Dressed in Blood duology by Ken Dare Blake, Anna Dressed in Blood and Girl of Nightmare. For the knickknacks on this shelf, I first of all have a Statue of Liberty coin that I got this year when I was in America, and it is the copper coin, and this is actually the width of the Statue of Liberty, so that one just gets to sit up there because that's cool. Next is a Mockingjay pin that I got, and lastly is a Dauntless keychain. Onto the next shelf, which is pretty much just my Harry Potter series and my Outlander series because they are two of my favourite series, and I had a lot of Harry Potter swag so that it needed its own shelf. So let's get into it. So obviously I have the entire Harry Potter collection series here. 3 are in hardcover and the other 4 are in paperback. I'm not going to go through the names because you should all know the names by now, I'm sure you do. So there are all my books, and this one is probably the prettiest, not gonna lie. The next two books I have here are books I actually haven't read, but I have The Tales of the Beadle and the Bard, and J.K. Rowling, The Wizard Behind... Oh my god. I'm gonna say it really quick before it falls down again. J.K. Rowling, The Wizard Behind Harry Potter by Mark Shapiro. Next is the stunning beautiful series by Dana Appledon, which is Outlander, and these are the 4 books that I have so far. As for the knickknacks, I of course have my Harry doll that likes to sit on top of my Honeydukes jar full of lemon sherbets. I also have my ink and quill set that get to sit here now, a Ravenclaw patch, and of course my wand, which is actually Luna Lovegood's wand because I couldn't decide at the time what I wanted. So that one gets to live up there. So now there's a very Harry Potter looking shelf and my Outlander. They're going to share it because they're both giant series and they need a big shelf to themselves, and now I have all my beautiful knickknacks on display. Down a shelf now, I have sort of my paranormal, you know, shadow hunter, so you know, angels, demons, fairies, that sort of stuff there. And over here I have more magic, and then I have sort of out of this world sort of things. I'm gonna move that candle so you can see. I don't want to say alien, but like, you know, out of world adventures, and then sort of just some time travel, which probably should have been up there with Outlander, but it's not. To begin this shelf, I have the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare, the trilogy set here of Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess, the prequel series to the TMI series. Definitely one of my favorite series ever. There you go. Next I have the original and the original size covers for the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. Oh, they're so beautiful. Start out with no faces and then all the faces. Next I have a collection of very Shadowhunter-y looking books. So we have the bind up of all the Maine Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan and Maureen Johnson. These were all Kindle stories that were released and then put into a book. Same with the Shadowhunter Academy series she's writing. I have them on Kindle and they will come out as a book probably. I have the Shadowhunters Codex by Cassandra Clare and Joshua Lewis. I have sort of short stories sort of written by all these different authors just about the world of Shadowhunters and Downworlders. And lastly, the Infernal Devices manga / graphic novels, Clockwork Angel. The next book I have is the first book in the Magisterium series by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare, and this is the Iron Trial. The first book in the Heir Chronicles series by Cinda Williams-Chimer, The Warrior Heir. This is Half Bad, the first book in the Bad series by Sally Green. This is Across the Universe and Shades of Earth. This is book 1 and book 3 in the Across the Universe series by Beth Rebus. Next is Plus One by Elizabeth Family. Let the Sky Fall by Shannon Messenger. Thousand Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. Lastly on the shelf, The Here and Now by Anne Brashes. And for the knickknacks on this shelf, I have my Letters to My Future Self, which I've talked about before in one of my videos, and I have my Buttered Beer Stein. Moving down to one of the unseen shelves, this one has now got very packed with lots of things. So far this is sort of steampunk sort of stuff, then sort of Kings and Queens and Renaissance-y sort of period there. Then these are sort of just some random books pushed to the side here. So first I have the Ruby Red / Precious Stone trilogy by Kirsten Gier, so Ruby Red, Sapphire Blue and Emerald Green. Next I have the first 2 books in the Stoker and Holmes series, and that is The Clockwork Scarab and The Spirit Glass Charade by Colleen Gleason. Next I have the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy set box by Lenny Taylor, which has The Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Days of Blood and Starlight, and Dream of Gods and Monsters. Next I have Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, first book in the series of Red Queen, and I did start reading this at one point in time, but I did give up because I was having a big Throne of Glass hangover. I have Captive Prince, volume 1 in this trilogy, and it is by C.S. Pacat. I am really excited to read this one, but it's terrifying. It's kind of Game of Thronesy in the respect that at the front it has all of the characters and there's a map of all these complicated places, and I'm a little intimidated to read it. Next I have the Grisha trilogy by Lee Bardugo, Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm and Rune and Rising. Next I have books 1, 3 and 5 of the Evernight series by Claudia Gray. I have Evernight, Stargazer and Afterlife. Next I have the first 3 books in the Poison Study series by Maria V. Schneider. I have Poison Study, Magic Study and Fire Study. Lastly, the first book in the Song of Lioness Quartet, Alana the First Adventure by Tamora Pierce. Next I have the first book in the Percy Jackson series, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I absolutely hate this cover and I hope to get some new ones soon. I have Standalone by Alexia Casale, and that is The Bone Dragon. And lastly I have a book called The Hope We Seek by Rich Shapiro. Going down to this shelf I sort of have my angels and alien sort of creatures, and then we move into some contemporary which follows on as well on the bottom shelf. Start off this shelf I have the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have 2 bind-ups here. Beginnings has Obsidian and Onyx in them. The second bind-up has Opal and Origin. And the last is Opposition. Next I have 3 of the 4 books in the Fallen series by Lauren Kate. Fallen, Torment and Passion. And then I have a novella of short stories called Fallen in Love between the 3rd and the 4th book. I also have another book by Lauren Kate, Teardrop, which I probably will not read. Next I have Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld, and it is like such a stunning looking book. It's huge and I really want to read it. Then I have The Girl Who Was Saturday Night by Heather O'Neill. Something Real by Heather Demetrios. Lies My Girlfriend Told Me by Julianne Peters. This is the only book so far that I have not finished, that I will not finish. Next I have Girl Online by Zoe Sugg, another book I probably won't read, you know. Next I have the first 2 books in the Slam series by Colleen Hoover, Slammed and Point of Retreat. Next I have Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, and probably one of my favourite books for 2015. Next I have the Anna and the French Kiss series by Stephanie Perkins, and I have Anna and the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After. I've actually only read Anna and the French Kiss so far though. Next I have Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, and Landline by Rainbow Rowell. We come to the bottom shelf, which is mostly contemporaries sort of here, and then just some sort of other books that I've read, and children's books, and a children's book. And then some more children's books and some old pretty looking. First of all, I have Winter Girls by Laurie Halse Anderson, Crank by Ellen Hopkins, Solitaire by Alice Oseman, The One I Don't Want by Alexandra Potter, Lucy in the Sky by Paige Toon, Abundance of Catherines by John Green, All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, Love Rosie by Cecilia Ahern, these 2 books in the duology by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer, Between the Lines and Off the Page. Getting onto the random books section, we have Chenko's Beads and Two-Tone Shoons by William Kennedy, Blood of Dreams by Susan Parisi, Like Ice by Becca Fitzpatrick. I have Bitten and Stolen, the first 2 books in the Women of the Otherworld series by Kelly Armstrong, which has about 12 books in it, and each 2 books is a series sort of together. And I found out the other day this is actually a TV show, which is hilarious because I read this when I was like 15 and it was really not appropriate for me to read it then. With that, I have the first book in the sort of following on the series, but the next set of 2 books by Kelly Armstrong in that Women of Otherworld series. I have 2 books I read when I was really young. I have The Heavenly Collection, it's the first book in some sort of series, by Annie Dalton and Agnes Parker. Oh no. We have Agnes Parker, Girl in Progress by Kathleen Odell. Then next to some children's books, I have a very not children book. Secret by L. Marie Adeline. I have this mini version of Switched, which is the first book in the Tyrell series by Amanda Hocking. Lastly in the corner, I have the Del Toro Quest series, which I actually didn't read, but they were my sister's. And I just have some pretty hardcover books that I just like to have because they look really cool and interesting. Next I have sort of like an overflow shelf book. At the moment I just have some stars and like little extra bits. And this one is where I have my French books, my Japanese, Italian and Spanish sort of language books. Then I have Mal's Last Dancer, which I used for some Year 12 study. I have Crescendo, the second book in the Hush Hush series by Becca Fitzpatrick. A selection of classic stories by Charles Dickens, which includes Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, and A Tale of Two Cities. And then I have The Secret Garden by, by Frances Hodgson Burnett, which is another old book that I have. So there it is. And I'm sitting on the ground, but look at that view though. That view though. Na 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 na. So that was my bookshelf tour. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it wasn't too long. I guess I'll find out when I edit this. And tell me if you have any of the books or anything. Just if you have anything to say, just comment down below. And I will see you in my next video. Bye! I'm just trying to fix JK's face with the lighting. The light is ruining my shot, so I'm just gonna have to be over here. That makes no sense. And Niels Johnson, I can't read that, by Gabrielle Zevin. Bard, and J.K. Rowling, The Wizard. Oh my god. Okay then.